Scaling your business to new insane revenue levels doesn't have to be overwhelming. It's all about the right strategy, team, efficiencies, and confidence. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Evolution podcast. With over 1 million downloads, it's the go-to business podcast dedicated to business owners who want to evolve out of operating in the day-to-day and make their dreams come true. I'm your host, Annette Walter, and I'm so happy you are here. As a former banker, I have now been an entrepreneur for over 15 years and have started, grown, acquired, and sold over 20 multi-million-dollar companies to date. Together, you and I will strengthen your existing business, build your dream team and process, grow your wealth and legacy, all while surrounding you with a community of rockstar entrepreneurs just like yourself. Are you ready to evolve? Let's get started. Welcome to today's episode of the Entrepreneur Evolution podcast. I am excited to introduce you to today's guest. Before I do so, I want to personally invite you to a private session with me. It's on me, so click the link below. I want to hear more about your business. Things are really busy right now, and I want to make sure that you're being as productive and profitable with your time, with your resources, and with your energy. So take some time, take a deep breath. Let's talk about your business and you and what you have going on, and meet me there. It's a safe, judgment-free, stress-free zone and a place for you to vent and process things that are happening right now, real time in your business. Today's guest is Jay Fantom. He is the founder and host of The Story Box, a top 4 podcast in 2021. He is a 25-year-old entrepreneur, award-winning filmmaker, speaker, and writer, and he is just completely authentic and honest and really trying to live his best life here. The stories that he shares are really moving, and I know you're going to enjoy this episode. He's been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, Yahoo, The Morning Show Canada, The Today Show, New York Weekly, all of these amazing NBC, Fox, CNBC, Market Watch. I could go on and on. And I know you're going to enjoy and be moved by our conversation. Thanks for being here, entrepreneur. Thank you for sharing this with a friend that might also like to listen. Make sure you hit subscribe so that you're automatically notified when these interviews drop on Tuesdays and my express tips on Fridays. Take care and keep evolving. I am so proud of you. Welcome, Jay. How are you?
I am very well, Annette. How are you?
I am wonderful. We are joining each other really from opposite sides of the world, more or less, would you say?
Yes, I like saying that I'm in the future, technically speaking.
Yes.
And you're still trying to catch up to me, aren't you?
I am still trying to catch up to you. Today we are joined by Jay Fantom. He is owner and founder of The Story Box and joining us from Australia, which is a place on my bucket list. I really want to go there.
Please do come here. I mean,
Yes.
don't be afraid by the whole COVID shabarkle and all that stuff. But definitely Australia is a wonderful place. The land is great. The food's awesome. And the people are just incredible too. So
everyone I've met is just incredible. I keep on telling my oldest son, who's, oh my goodness, 12 now. Like when you're in college, you can study abroad in Australia and, we'll come visit for a long time. So that would be great.
The perfect excuse, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I like my guests to really start wherever they feel comfortable. Tell us your story. Tell us everything and anything about how you got here and a little bit more about your journey.
Well, the real question is, how long do you want me to go? Because it is quite a long story, but I can give you the short and condensed version if you like.
Great.
So pretty much I wanted to be a filmmaker when I grew up. That was my sort of career trajectory, my passion, everything that I really wanted ever since the age of 8 years old after I saw The Princess Bride. And, my uncle was in the film industry and I used to listen to him share stories of being on movie sets and doing some massive Hollywood blockbusters like The Matrix. He did Narnia and he did so many other great movies I just wanted to be pretty much like him in a sense. So everything that I did from then on was lived and breathed film. So when I was in school, I was known as Director J, DJ.
I like it.
And so I had that on the back of my jersey. But yeah, life didn't really go exactly as I wanted or planned it out in my head. As I think a lot of things in life don't really go according to plan.
Right.
As much as we wanted to happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't end up. I started 2 film businesses and they both failed. And I just sort of went about my life, did so many different jobs, like from looking after kids in after school care to doing disability services to working at Spotlight in retail, stocking shelves. And then I went into real estate in 2019, which is a massive career shift for me. I had no idea what I was doing. And the agent gave me a shot when no one else really would,
Right.
And I was basically the first day thrown into the deep end. But let me backtrack a little bit because I skipped over an important point. I actually started a podcast called the Storybox 1.0, I call it, in 2018, but I wasn't committed. I wasn't really committed to the fact that it was a lot of hard work and financially speaking, you name it, all that sort of fun stuff. And the original idea was centered around me and a good friend of mine just sitting down, reviewing movies. And if it had a good story in it, then we would put it in kind of like this virtual box, which became known as the Story Box, for people to go back to later on and pick out the story and watch it as sort of like a film, that sort of thing.
Wow.
I also didn't mention that growing up, I was a huge lover of stories. I mean, I think you got to be in order to title your podcast a Storybox. But yeah, back into real estate for a moment. So I was thrown in the deep end of things and sort of being abused. And the start of 2019 wasn't exactly the best because I lost my German Shepherd dog of 11 years, which sort of crushed me. And then I was thrown into this massive new environment where I wasn't really helped at all. I was abused and sort of trodden over, really bad experiences happening there. And I just felt like I was sinking, like really, really bad and not in a good way at all. And then I guess the massive catalyst for me during that moment was the girl that I was dating at the time, who I thought I was going to be with for the rest of my life. I was going to, marry her and life would be spectacular. She broke up with me. And I put
big events just happening one after the other.
Massive life-changing and life-altering events for me. And I didn't know really how to handle all that pressure and all that anxiety all at the same time.
Right.
But what I did was I had put my entire identity and my entire worth into this relationship with the girl. So when that all broke, I broke with it. And I sort of kept to myself mostly during my job. I at the same time, I tried getting my film career off the ground again, but this time with a business partner. That didn't end up working out as well as I thought it would later on, which is another story. And so really during this entire, this is up until the month of May of 2019. So it's just all compiling.
Right.
And so fast forwarding, I end up getting and picking up my stride in real estate, not by the help of anyone really around me, just by my own determination and will to want to be better at something and just remove all my focus towards all the negative things that are going on in my life. Really, I was just broken inside. And there were a couple of times where I just sat in my car and bawled my eyes out, yelled and screamed. I had no idea what I was meant to be doing with my life, all those things. And it got to the point where around June, I was so broken, so lost, or I felt like I was totally broken and not worth anything in my life, that I just decided to just end it all. And so that led to a life-changing decision of mine to attempt to end my life. So one afternoon, I drive on my drive home. from speeding at about 130 kilometers an hour, which for a US, it's really, really fast, because I wanted to hit this pole and not walk away from my car, from the wreck.
Oh my goodness.
And the miracle moment in this, as I'm like going down the stretch of road, I take my hands off the wheel, my foot's on the accelerator. Two amazing things happened. I'm watching the steering wheel turn away from the direction that it was going towards the pole, back onto the road. And then my foot, I didn't even feel it come off the accelerator and onto the brake, and my car comes to a complete stop.
Wow.
Right there in the road. And I just like stopped what I was doing, broke down. And I remember just crying out to God in that moment, saying, God, I need a miracle. I need you to change my life. I need you to give me purpose. I need you to give me worth. And it wasn't like my life changed dramatically in that moment, but it was just like this sense of, I've got you sort of feeling. And then after that, no one knew about that incident. I just went, it's a miracle that I actually got home that day. But things in real estate not long after that, around August, September, didn't really go the way I wanted it to go. There were certain things that I was just getting sick of, the abuse. And there was a story in there that I won't share that happened. There was really a sign for me to just run.
Right, move on. Time to go. Time to move on.
Time for me to just run as fast as I possibly can and as far as I can. Which I started looking for another job. But it was interesting because around April of that same year, a friend of mine had DM'd me because I started doing movie reviews again as a way to sort of, get my mind off things. And he just DM'd me and he said podcast. And I hadn't really thought up until that point of doing a podcast again, or I didn't even know what it was. So when I finished in real estate, now was the time for me to start thinking, okay, what do I really want to do? Who am I really? And all that sort of stuff. And it actually came when I was in a job interview for a top recruitment company here in Sydney, Australia, and they were considering me for a position. So it was a group interview with 6 people. I hate group interviews, but I outshone all of them for some reason. They were more experienced than I was, and a lot older too. So it was an absolute miracle that I even was considered to progress forward. But I remember being in the CEO's office and he was asking me all these questions. And then the question that really changed and got me thinking even more and set me on the path that I'm on today was the question of, Jay, why do you want to be here? Like, why do you want to work here? And I just answered him saying, I want to help people. And that was a God honest truth. But instead of me helping people get a job, which I knew I could do and do a damn good job at it, I felt like there had to be something more than that. And so on the train ride home, it just like a light bulb moment. It just hit me. And I'm like, I'm going to start the Storybox 2.0 again.
Good. You didn't give up on it.
This vision and this, it sort of happened from there. And I realized my purpose was to help people realize their worth and reach their full potential through the power of stories. And then the Storybox started in November of 2019, and it has continued to grow ever since and blow me away and bless me immensely.
Yes. So, oh my goodness. And, you're going through all of this. That's a lot. And I love how you're really keying in, Jay, on the self-discovery portion of everything, really, from a career-wise, professional-wise, personal-wise. You started 2 businesses in filmmaking very early on at the launch of your career, because a lot of people may not know, this is like the start of your career, right? The early stages.
Yep. I'm still quite young.
Can't see how young and handsome you are through the podcast.
Thank you.
But right. So, to go through, I think that a lot of people don't talk about that, about once you are on your own fully and you're starting out, how lonely and scared and like an identity crisis, right? It's really hard to navigate. So amazing for you for trying all those things, discovering all of those things. Thank God you had that moment where, you know, you got through that day, and you did. And it's so crazy because I literally had a coaching session this morning, and this is exactly what we talked about. She was about to give up completely.
Wow.
And I said to her, I said, you haven't failed until you quit. So she was beating herself up, feeling like failure, you know, really hard on herself. I'm like, you haven't failed. Like, this is all learning. Let's bring back 2.0. Like, let's go. The train just kind of slowed down a little bit, stopped here for a little bit longer than expected, went through a season, and now you're ready. So tell us what Storybox looks like, you know, post November 19. What is it? What's it doing? Tell us all about it.
Well, the Storybox 2.0 didn't really exist. It just sort of was like, I think in the very, very far reaches of my mind, it was somewhere there, but I just needed to go through my journey of finding who I was, because I say that the Storybox 2.0 is really an extension of who I am. So how I show up, my authentic self, the love and the curiosity for people and their stories, and wanting to just really help them. Like, that's really my desire. That's really what the Storybox 2.0 is. And I hope does for some people. And the kind of people that I do have on the show that I am blessed and fortunate enough to have even just 30 minutes of their time, I try and get to the real core, the real heart of that person as much as I possibly can. It's like establishing trust with them, and you're doing that. You're meeting them for the first time, which is a really difficult thing to do. But if I can try to open up and share a little bit about myself, then maybe they might do the same for me, which then the audience can tell, hey, we're all human. We all have setbacks. We all have failures. We all make mistakes. We all go through these crazy points in our life, these challenges where we feel like we can't get back up and we can't move forward. But if I can show people that I was in a position where I had given up and I attempted to really end my story entirely. And if anyone is in that position right now, I just want to say, look, I was there. I know the feeling. It sucks. It hurts. And you just feel numb really to everything in life, but you cannot give up. You just can't. And I'm glad and I'm thankful that God intervened in a big way for me to say, no, I'm not going to allow you to give up. I'm going to give you the very best path forward, and I'm going to show you what it is. And I call it the path of an eagle. And really what it is, it's a unique healing path forward. It shows people that we weren't made for the ground. We weren't made to stay stuck in this period of suffering and anguish and trials. Sure, we have them. Sure, but they're the best things for us if we choose to reshape our mindset around it and say, look, if you can be like the eagle, because the eagle doesn't stay down, guess what it does? It gets back up, it spreads its mighty wings, and it uses those challenges as wind beneath the wings to give them that lift and get up and soar through the air. So I tell people, use those challenges as the wind beneath your wings to keep on soaring through life, and you'll be okay, honestly. And I think I'm living proof of that. I mean, I don't have the best days all the time, but I am doing the very best that I possibly can. And really, that's what I try and tell people with other people's stories too, and diving into subjects that I know and I hope are going to help people. So really, that's what the Storybox 2.0 is now.
Love it. I just love it. You know, it's funny what I'm thinking about right now. You might laugh at this, but you're reminding me of something my dad would say to me when I was younger, or at the earlier stages, I guess, of my career. And I'd have, you know, big fancy meetings in my banking days, right? And he'd say, you know, Annette, don't be nervous. Like, remember, everyone puts their pants on the same way, one leg at a time, right? Everyone has bad days. Everyone has good days. Everyone has self-doubt or, you know, fear, anxiety, excitement, giddiness, all that stuff, you know? So I love how you were really really, really narrowing in on that because it's such an important message. I love The Path of the Eagle.
Thank you. It's actually a book, my very first book too. So I'm 25 years young, I love saying, and I've written my very first book, which is called The Path of an Eagle, How to Overcome and Lead After Being Knocked Down, because I really believe that if you can lead yourself out of a difficult situation, you'll be okay. You'll be able to lead other people too out of difficult situations, because you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. But the best thing to do is to show people through your own actions, through your story as evidence and say, look, I did it. What's to stop you from doing it? Like, we all have a choice in life. And I think if we can make the best choice possible to really move forward despite these obstacles, you can either climb over it, you can either push through it, you can go around it. All those decisions are yours to make. Just don't go backwards, or just don't stay there wondering, how am I going to do this? Just take the step forward and you'll be surprised. I mean, I took a step forward and here I am.
Well, and you narrowed it on one thing, you really went with the podcast. And like you said, it's difficulty, it's challenge. It's a lot of work behind the scenes, what we're doing here, right? But we do it because we hear so many good things. It's helping big communities do really great things, right? It's powerful. It fills our heart. It fills my heart. I'm sure it fills your heart too, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And so tell us about, your top 4 podcasts, right? 4th on the major lists, right? That's amazing. So tell us about some of your guests and some of the cool things and like some things you've learned.
Well, the accolades and all those things are honestly, they're fantastic. And I realized, I was chasing those accolades for such a long time. I'm like, I want to be number 1. I want to be this. I want to beat Joe Rogan. I want to beat all the big podcasters out there. And then when I got to, top 4 in education, when I got the Apple charts, I'm like, hang on a minute, something doesn't feel right. I got like this small little sense of accomplishment, but then now what? And then it didn't take long for me to just sort of like, all right, okay, I've got to try and keep that consistent now. I must have been doing something right, whatever that is. I don't know. Maybe people connecting with it. And, I've had the pleasure of speaking with, so many amazing people. I can rattle off some big names: Josh Peck, Matthew McConaughey, Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, Robert Kiyosaki, Mark Manson. If we're talking like all the self-help, personal development space, you name it, like all those people. And then just some incredible, like, just you wouldn't know who they were because they're quite humble and they don't really put themselves out in the forefront. And not many people are like, oh, they're mega famous, but their story still does matter. Like, as I've realized that every story really does matter. And some of the ones that I personally love are the ones that aren't necessarily so famous. I mean, I still love the ones. I mean, my McConaughey one is probably the most famous one. But then people like Johan Hari, who he wrote Lost Connections and Chasing the Scream, and another one of my favorite books, Stolen Focus. I mean, talking to him, I speak to him for hours. About these things.
Fascinating.
But there's so many other great people, and just asking them curious questions.
Right? Real questions. It's great. So what's next? What are you looking forward to in this year?
Well, this year is going to be a big year for me, continuing to grow the story box, more people. But then I've got my very first book launching in America in September 27th. So that's a big, I think, milestone for a 25-year-old Aussie to start his publishing author career in the United States, one of the hardest markets to get into.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, I'm just incredibly excited, nervous as anything. But I just want the book to help as many people as I possibly can. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm writing even more books. So I'm currently working on another book. And just, continuing to serve and show up as much as I possibly can for people.
It's great. I love how open you are and how creative you are and how giving you are. It's amazing. It's really great. So before I close here, because I don't want to take up too much of your time, but what's a personal mantra that you have, or something that you say to yourself that kind of snaps you, out of the self-doubt into like a positive mode? Do you have anything that comes to mind?
I do. It's I've said it to Tony Robbins, so he knows this one and he loved it. And I've said it to so many other amazing people. It's be persistent to remain consistent are the things that you want. So being persistent is really, or pretty much I'll say this, consistency is the flow-on effect of when you are persistent. Because if you think about it, you cannot continue to do something unless you have chosen to persistently go after it. Consistency will always be the flow-on effect. Every single day, I make the choice to persistently get up, do the things that I need to do to go forward, to not remain stuck on the ground or where I am, and to help as many people as I possibly can, whatever that looks like, if it's podcast, if it's just speaking to people, if it's books, whatever it is, that is my choice to go after it, to not stop digging, but or not stop storing, more or less. So my friends, if you are listening to this and you want your own personal mantra, I don't mind if you take it for yourself and you use it in your own life. Remember, be persistent to remain consistent are the things that you want.
I love it. I love it. So good. It's really good. I like it a lot. So how can our audience find you? How can we support you? What can we do for you, Jay?
Thank you for asking this. Well, I'm not about, boosting any of my own stuff. It's really,
feel free to. I'm very open. I love any resources that we can share. Feel free to, please.
If you want to be helped in any way, shape, or form, I hope you can check out the Storybox podcast. It's available everywhere. There's a website, storyboxpodcast.com. And my very first book is available now for pre-order. So if you want to do that, just type in The Path of an Eagle. It should come up, or just Jay Fantom should come up too.
Great. It's great.
But yeah, that's it.
Well, good. We'll drop all of that in the show notes to make sure that they can access that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your story, and congratulations. I mean, you're just scratching the surface. It's so amazing. Like, we need to do this again in a short time and a long time to just check in and see how you're doing. It's amazing.
Thank you so much, Annette.
Good luck with everything. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Wow, what an episode. Did you learn something new? I hope so. I am so happy you were able to be here with us today. I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a review and I will be sure to read it and respond to you. Also, if you'd like to email me, my email address is yourock@iEvolveConsulting.com. Hit subscribe, and every Tuesday you'll get notification when the next episode drops. We really have some amazing interviews and tips in the future. Anything you need, I'm here for you. I want you to keep your momentum. I want to help you stay accountable. I want you to stay inspired. I want you to evolve. So please let me know what you need, and I'd love to hear from you. Take care until next time.